Zabi,
Here.
Jessica McFarland, Gretchen Thomas,
Here.
and Scott Croner.
Alrighty, thank you. No special recognitions. So we'll go on to recognition of visitors and public input. I have one person signed in. Is there anybody else that wants to sign in before we start that? Didn't know if it got pulled too soon. No? Okay, just want to make sure you have the opportunity. And I'll read our fun little spiel here. The board president, myself, will announce each speaker by calling the name, address, and topic. Each statement shall be limited to 3 minutes. No participant may speak more than once on any topic. This portion of the board meeting shall be limited to 30 minutes per topic unless extended by a vote of the board. If there is more than one position on a particular topic, the board shall attempt to allow a proportionate amount of time for each position. And Ms. Evie,
I didn't have anything right now. She said to sign in, but I might have something later. I wasn't exactly sure.
okay, alrighty. Well, we've got you now.
Yep.
I know it can be intimidating and overwhelming, so feel free to let us know if you have any questions.
All right, thanks.
Alrighty, I will take a motion for any amendments to the agenda.
So moved.
A motion from John and a second from Don. Is that okay, or Kurt, do you want it to be? Yeah, get it together.
Sure. Yeah, sorry.
Okay. Any comments or questions on the amendments that we are adding? Hearing none, all in favor say aye.
Aye.
All opposed, same sign. That motion carries 7-0. I will take a motion for the consent items to include the amendments that we are adding.
So moved. Second.
Motion from Dave and a second from Brian. Any comments or questions on those?
I see there's a very nice grant from National FFA to the agricultural classroom enhancements. Do we know what those enhancements might be?
Gretchen, do you remember what those were?
I did not see that.
It was aligned to a course. This was not the ag mechanics, was it?
Yeah, I don't know.
I will have to check. It was for one specific course that they had applied for a grant from, and that's what that was gonna help support. But yeah, great thing.
Pretty nice.
Absolutely.
Alrighty, so before we vote, I know that we have Mr. Chris here, thanks for attending. They're preparing for the trip to Italy, and he is actually part of the consent. And we asked him to be here just for questions. We've had a little bit of discussion at our last meeting, open discussion, and this opportunity to have some questions, if you have any questions regarding anything related to the trip for Mr. Chris to answer, and I guess band parents are here as well. Does anybody have anything that they want to start with?
I mean, I think probably the question that arose the most was just the availability for all students to attend, and knowing that it was going to be a high cost when it was originally presented to the board. And I think that for the majority of those that were on the board at that time and voted and approved, as the board approved, it was kind of under the assumption that no student would be left out because of cost. And I think that's probably the biggest question, concern that I think has been discussed and talked about. So with that, I mean, I guess this question is, did everybody have an opportunity to be able to go regardless of cost? Is kind of the way it was. I think we approved it as that, and you know, was that available through fundraising? I know you've done fundraising and all that. And so was everybody able to go because of cost being a factor taking out of it, or some of the responses is, yeah, because of cost?
Sure.
So just how did that work, I guess?
And it actually came on our radar because I received an email from a band parent that is not, their child's able to go, but just having some empathy that there were students that weren't able to go, and that's sort of then that's why we started wondering how many are impacted and things like that.
Sure.
So
I would say that every student had the
opportunity to sign up to go. Of course, that comes with either cost or fundraising. I mean, that's just the reality of it, and we were pretty straightforward with that. In the packet that I provided in 2023, it showed the breakdown of what the estimated cost would be. I think it was like at 40 travelers, 60 travelers, depending on how large the group was. Of course, that's going to change the final cost per person. And even at that point in time, we had already completed 2 years of fundraising. As soon as we got back from Hawaii, the next mattress sale went right into that next group of kids coming forward. At that point in time, we targeted and included grades 6, 7, 8, and 9. Yeah, because it was the following year. Freshmen didn't travel. Freshmen at that point in time hadn't traveled to Hawaii, so that's the cohort that we're dealing with. And some people jumped on it, some people didn't, which I guess is not surprising. If you're a 6th grade parent and you're not sure if your kid can blow a trumpet, much less a kazoo, much less are they going to be in band in high school, I would hypothesize that some parents just really didn't look at the opportunity, thinking, yeah, that's going to be my kid in 4 years. So some folks didn't take advantage of that, which again is fine. But some folks did, and it really helped. Correct me if I'm wrong on this. All of our mattress sales and then the pizza, Little Caesars, is pretty much dedicated fundraisers that go towards our trip upcoming, or what have you. The one exception is going to be this coming Little Caesars pizza, because we literally just got back, and it's still the same year, and we haven't connected with the next group of kids. So that's kind of how we've been operating for a number of years. We've done the same here with this trip and this group of 4-year students as well.
And you mentioned at our meeting, you said there were scholarship opportunities. Is that separate from the fundraising, or how does that work?
Actually, I said there were not scholarship opportunities.
Okay.
And I explained that had been looked at in the past, and what gets pretty sticky is who's going to make the call. I'll be straight with you, I really didn't want to put myself in that position of choosing this student over that student for the scholarship. Didn't want to put band parents in that position either. So as we kind of thought through what that whole process would look like, that was something that we didn't feel comfortable doing, making that final decision on how that would work. And again, that was probably 8 or 12 years ago. That was from the beginning of this. And if you'd like us to reconsider that, we can, but those would be the questions we'd have to address and tackle.
And I know the number was in the 30s of that are not going on the trip. Can you, was it 32, 34?
I think it was 32. We just had 2 students sign up here in the last couple of weeks, believe it or not.
And so what percentage of that is, how many band students are there?
It's about half, so we've got about 60 band students.
Okay. So a little bit more than half aren't
Yeah.
going. Has that been the case in the past as well?
I think for our Hawaii trip, the number was 39, so it's close.
Did not attend?
That traveled, 39 travelers compared to 32 travelers now. Of course, back then we were dealing with COVID, but at the same time, eggs weren't, whatever price eggs are today, so it's a little bit different.
Of the kids that participated in fundraising, was that fundraising enough to cover their trip?
Like the full trip?
Right.
No.
You have any idea what the average, shortage was in that?
No. Sorry.
That's all
Do
right.
any of the parents have an idea, like how much did your fundraising, was it half of your trip? Was it half of your child's trip? 3/4 of it?
We didn't push our fundraising very hard personally as our family, but for the 2021 mattress sale, my son raised $425. So if he would have done that every year,
Mm-hmm.
he could have done very well.
Okay.
But he also earned small amounts for selling the most fundraiser tickets, for working the Country Woods, their staff picnic. They offer the cheerleaders and the band a chance to earn
Okay.
personal money. I've got a whole list of ways Carson earned money. The mattress sale does by far the best, and if we would have done that every year, we would have.
I want to make you said middle schools have the opportunity. Do they have the opportunity to mattress sale too? Okay, so they can jump in all the same things that high schoolers can. Okay.
My son was a 7th grader that year.
Okay.
Yep.
Okay.
Where do the team funds come from that looks like they're divided amongst all the members of the team?
funds are students who are either no longer in band, or from the students who did a little bit of fundraising along the way and then decided, yeah, or maybe they just never signed up for the trip to begin with. But still, along the way, we keep those separate because we don't know who's gonna travel, who's not gonna travel. So pretty much it's the unused funds from fundraisers that are dedicated towards the mentor sale.
Okay.
Any other questions?
To back up to what Christina had said, I don't know if it was maybe a scholarship was the label or term used, but it was kind of applied, or I think caught by the board, that there was opportunities, other than just personal fundraising, that, it was gonna be, obviously, if personal fundraising isn't gonna cover the entire cost, and to make it so it's not just cost prohibitive, that there were other measures that for families that just would be able to afford that would be in place. I think that's how
Yeah.
it was received. However that was labeled and called, I think that's how it was received.
Right.
Is that a
Yeah,
fair assessment?
yeah. So I guess when it came to my attention, I was a little bit caught off guard, but then, of course, but then when I found out that many weren't going, I was also kind of just a little bit, just personally surprised. It's sad that many aren't going, that more than half, or at least half will be here, and when it's a good experience to share as a group, like
Absolutely.
a basketball team. I see a band as a team, right? Because you guys, especially during your competition seasons, those are quite intense. So we just wanted some clarity on that, especially because there was some concerns brought to us by band parents. So we wanted to make sure that we were clear on that.
Okay.
Going back to the Hawaii trip, those that didn't go, would that have been because of the expense of that trip?
I would imagine you get similar responses then, although some of them could be COVID related if they were nervous to travel. In the end, we did have one person that didn't pass the nasal test,
Oh, shoot.
so that student and her mother then had to be scrubbed from the trip.
How many parents are going with you?
About the same number, 30. We're about a 50-50 mix of parent and student.
And the
Chaperones
parents,
will not be a problem.
do the chaperones pay the same amount? So something was early. That's quite.
Can I say something about low-income families not being able to go? We are a low-income family, and my daughter's going. So if somebody comes and says, hey, I don't know that I can do it, whatever, what are you willing to do? Like, if you want your kid to go, if your kid wants to go, because some of the kids said they don't want to go. So that plays into it as well. But if you're not willing to take a little bit of initiative, work with your student to do some of the fundraising, maybe make a couple sacrifices in your own finances. That's not Mr. Chris's fault. That's not anybody else's fault except your own.
And we weren't looking for fault, we were just looking to be informed.
Yeah.
That way, when there's a concern brought to us, especially when it's something that we approved as a board, we always just wanna make sure that we are, all have the same information.
Yeah.
So thank you for sharing.
And I guess I wanted to say also that the music company that we're going through makes it really easy to make payments throughout the whole time. So if you make your payment of a couple $100 each month or every other month or however that payment schedule worked out, it was really easy to pay for the trip. It was not an issue with, it's just you pay a little bit as you go, just like anything you have to do. That's a large purchase.
And remind me, and I know I should know this, but sorry, I can't keep all the information. What year did I remember you said that the band parents voted on it, and so what year was the beginning of the fundraising, planning, payment, making arrangements for payment? How many years goes into it?
Spring of 21. So school year 21-22
Okay.
is when we would have started. In the fall. That's when, first Saturday of December, I believe, is when the mattress sale was at that point down. That's already when.
Any other questions? Hearing none, all in favor say aye.
Aye.
All opposed, same sign. That motion carries 7-0. Thank you for taking the time to come. I know you have other things going on. I appreciate you guys. If any of you are going or your children, safe travels. Italy is a wonderful place to go. Make sure you get gelato
Thank you.
and all the other good stuff.
Thanks.
Alrighty, action item A, consider the approval of the K-12 student handbook and Northwood High School student athlete handbook.
All right, your board package, you have a copy of the handbooks. Nothing has changed in the student handbook and the student athlete handbook. We did have Tim Shelley go through with a Kreisdorf and make some additional changes. I think I sent that to you once they were back in my hands, but they're also in your board packet. Nothing of substance has changed, so we recommend approval as presented.
Motion to approve the K through 12 student handbooks and the high school student athlete handbook.
I'll second that.
Motion from Trevor and a second from Don. Any questions or discussion? Okay, hearing none, all in favor say aye. All opposed, same sign. And that motion carries 7-0. Action item B, consider the approval of the out-of-state and overnight field trip for Napa Elementary to go to Amigo Center.
So we recommend approval as presented.
So moved.
Second.
Motion from Kurt and a second from David. Any comments or discussion on that? Hearing none, all in favor say aye. All opposed, same sign. And that motion carries 7-0. And there was anything else added on that?
No, there was not.
Okay, all yours.
Under discussion, we have Gretchen, and she's going to present our Northwood Middle School science curriculum.
There's a memo in your board packet outlining the committee for the middle school textbook adoption this year. This is just middle school, grade 6 to 8 science. I will be bringing high school science and elementary science, but they're just not done yet. And I wanted to go ahead and present to you middle school so we can get the ball rolling on that. Today, just for discussion, next board meeting that we have, I'll bring it for asking for your approval. For new board members, the committee has to consist per board policy of at least 40% parent and community members. And so outlined at the bottom of the memo, you'll see that for each grade level, there were 2 teachers, and then the committee of community or parents, they were on the 6th grade, the 7th grade, and the 8th grade committee. There's a rubric that we use for everyone, and so that looks at the curriculum, the content, the presentation, and they go through and they evaluate, making sure that the text meets those standards along with our community expectations and it's appropriate for students, and so they use that rubric and give their input. So that's the process that we go for every single content, and so this is for grades 6 through 8, and they have selected Status Elevate, which is the same curriculum then for 6, 7, and 8 to go through. Again, not asking for approval tonight, just wanted to bring it to your attention and discuss, and then bring it next board meeting for and ask for approval. Any questions or that I can answer?
Just for curiosity, because a new board member, like how do you, like, as far as how the parents or the community members are picked, and then like, are they on there for a set period of time, or is it new every time we go through?
It's new every time.
Okay.
So in most cases, building principal, instructional coach, department chair reaches out to a handful of parents and tries to get members to participate. Oftentimes it's really hard to get parents because it's time consuming. And so just trying to get them to come and want to read novels and go through textbooks is challenging. But it does change each time with whoever they think might be someone with that expertise in science, for example, or just parents. They might send out a mass email looking for a handful of parents and see who they can get.
And I appreciate that question, David, because I know Gretchen works really hard. Oftentimes, and I've seen it in other districts, when you see that parent piece, you'll find other teachers that maybe not teach science, but they kind of fill the role of parent. And it's meeting the policy, but I know Gretchen works really hard to meet the spirit of the policy and bringing outside people from, because teachers, administrators, we see things from one vantage point, we really want to have that parent aspect to it. Can't say it doesn't always happen. To Gretchen's point, it's hard. There's a lot of parents that are like, nah, I got all kinds of things going on. I don't want to look at science books right now. So I can't say it never will happen, but
See some former students on there.
Any other questions?
Thank you for your work on this, Gretchen. Like she said, we still have high school to go as well, we'll have the elementary. Elementary, I know it's getting close, but,
Yeah.
we're still working on trying to get the cost down on that and figure out how, best to utilize that resource, so. We'll bring this one back and we'll hopefully bring back some other ones as well in the near future, so. That's all we have for tonight, so I don't know if you guys have any questions for us.
I can talk textbooks for 45 more minutes if that
Yo,
would.
did you bring the other presentation as well?
Do you have that slide deck?
Yeah, get the 70 point.
You guys are
now.
killing me.
Please don't let it drive to Indianapolis yet
Yeah.
tonight.
And before we adjourn to, just keep the Wagner family in your prayers, and Scott said that we would be, maybe he'll let us know what the plans are when those are solidified.
I know we met with the funeral, home today, what do you call that?
Funeral home.
Thompson Moniker, we met with Thompson Moniker today, and, hopefully we'll have some information we'll share out. I know there'll be a lot of support from the community, so.
So I saw that we approved like a donation to Northwood Boys Volleyball. So what's the process of a new sport? Just curious. Is it something that we approve at all here, or?
Yeah.
What do you want? Just
That's a
curious.
good question.
I'm just curious.
Yeah, ideally, there's communication between, the organization group, the administrator, and that administrator has conversations with Gretchen and I. If there's a need for us to have some conversation with the board, we will. Oftentimes what happens, this is where I kind of chuckled, we just have good people who want to do good things. And, not that the cart gets before the horse, because that kind of has a negative connotation to it, but they jump in and they just get going. And, right now, boys volleyball got up and going, and before I really knew we had a team, and we have good friends that coach it. They had already scheduled their first scrimmage. So it's a club right now. It's an unpaid position. I mean, it's nothing that really any of us have the ability to say no. This shall not happen because obviously groups can have open gyms and things like that. So, but yes, in all likelihood, this will likely lead into something on the ECA schedule that we'll add as a paid coaching position. Whether or not it becomes an IHSAA position, that's going to be spur out of sport. That'll be something that AJ and the coaches kind of figure out. But it's a voluntary club sport right now. I'm always proponent, whatever activities we can get our kids involved in, whether it's this, esports is something we have on the master contract. I think that was something that there was a lot of excitement about. It hasn't come to fruition yet. We just don't have a coach. But I think for a couple $1,000 on the ECA schedule, whenever you can get more kids involved, and we got a lot of kids who don't play any sports that are on the volleyball team, and they're good. I was surprised. They were really, really good. That answers your question, Kurt.
Just curious. So do we provide transportation and stuff like that for them as well?
I will need to check on that.
I don't know how
I don't
they
know.
get scheduled. I know
Yeah.
they had the one home scrimmage.
I know they're going tomorrow. They play the Benton homeschool team,
That's my nephew's team.
who are really good.
Yeah.
Really, really good. Everyone's told me. But I don't know how they're getting there.
I just didn't know if
I'll check on that.
things and all that sorts of things with the,
Yeah,
under our umbrella.
yeah,
That has to be something.
yeah.
Yeah,
How long does it take a club sport before it can become
as
a
well
school sport?
It doesn't.
as all the,
Is
are
is
they
it
under all the
IHSA
state
certified
rules?
now?
Yeah, it
in other
is.
schools?
Yes.
Okay.
It's a bird sport.
If we did that in the future, would you have to have another girls sport too, or is there any sort of?
Yes, you need to have balance, and actually, if they make it IHSA sport, it helps us to create more balance because we offer football, and there's so many boys that are involved in that. We have a little bit of. It's nothing that we're doing, wrong. It's just you compare volleyball participation to football, and you're going to have just much higher numbers than in one sport or the other. So adding girls volleyball would be helpful. I like it because it's offered in the springtime. That's been kind of the problem with girls wrestling coming on board. Spacing is just a
We've got
challenge.
girls volleyball.
Spacing is-
We've got girls volleyball.
Yeah.
Yeah.
We do.
Yeah, we do.
I think we're pretty coaches would not be real excited about them playing both those sports. The other aspect of it too is, you know, space and, you know, where would the middle school football team play, so it's fair with the boys' football team. And you've got one facility for that, and it's already heavily used between unified, football, band, and so, you know, we're just trying to walk that walk right now, figure out what's gonna be good for kids and good for families.
Are the others same athletic restrictions and rules?
The team right now,
The club?
I will have to check on that. I know AJ is providing a lot of support for it. Again, AJ's a champion for kids, and kids want to get involved, he's gonna try to help them out. I don't believe technically they fall under the athletic code of conduct, because they're not a recognized sport, that's currently in there right now, but, I have to check on that, Christina.
Yeah, cause it does, I mean, if they're gonna call themselves Northwood Boys, then, you know what I mean? It's implied that they represent us.
I mean, any of
So
the
I think
club
when it's
teams or
implied,
youth
then they
teams.
need to behave as
Is
we.
it like a track team or?
Yeah,
Well, I mean, like the club teams, youth teams, any of that, none of that funnels through donations or anything like this, too.
right. Like Cleveland soccer is a.
I will tell AJ we will disband girls boys volleyball now.
No, I'm not saying that.
No, just,
I think it's
I really guys
Yeah.
love it. We'll work on that. Yeah, I'll get you guys some better answers for those things.
any other discussion or questions? Hearing none, a motion to adjourn is in order.
So moved.
Second that?
Motion from Trevor, a second from John. All in favor, say aye. Meeting adjourned. Safe travels, Don.
Yeah, thank you.
Are you going to the city?